It's pretty much just Drake Maye out there by himself. And should Gerard Mayo feel comfortable with his job at 3-11? Let's talk about it on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast.
You are Locked On Patriots postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. It's brought to you by FanDuel and part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. The Patriots lost because it's a day that ends in Y in the year of our Lord 2024. 30-17, the final. The Cardinals get a win that they needed to stay in the playoff hunt, although if you're not beating this team by 3 or 4 touchdowns, I don't think you should be in the playoffs. 30-17 makes it look a little bit better than it was. Each team gets kind of a garbage time touchdown, though, so I guess it evens out. I mean, it's been the theme of the season since Drake Maye took over. You know, I had this thought during the game, and I texted some friends about it during the game, where, you know, I come on here every week and I talk about how it's everyone else's fault that Drake Maye is the only good offensive player they have. And each time throughout the week, I'm thinking like, not that am I being too soft on Drake Maye, but am I giving him too much a benefit of the doubt for a team that's now 3-11? He's the starting quarterback. And I watched the first drive today and I said, nope, screw it. It's everyone else's fault. Because I think that's true. I think Drake Maye is really good and has just nothing around him. And he gets them driving on that first drive, gets them within range, 3rd and 5. He audibles to a run play that's quite successful. It's like a 12-yard run for Antonio Gibson, brought back for holding. They go from 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 15. They actually get a 3rd and 9 because the Cardinals jump offside for some reason, get a completion to get some yards back and set them into field goal range. Joey Sly misses a field goal. Like that's what this is. Like if you just look at Drake Maye's numbers at the end of every game or at the end of the season, you might say Bo Nix is better. I'd rather have Bo Nix on my team. But if you watch these games, you will realize that unlike anyone I've ever seen in recent memory, and most of that is because I only watch the Patriots significantly, is he's just all alone. Like he's just totally on an island, man. I mean, his leading receiver at halftime was an effing cornerback. Marcus Jones was the team's leading receiver at halftime. And by the way, didn't get much better in the second half. Leading receiver for the game had 3 catches for 44 yards. Like if you look at, it was Kendrick Bourne, by the way. If you look at this offense, Hunter Henry would be a nice piece as a veteran pass catching tight end on a contending team. Like he would be a nice fit somewhere. Ramondre, you get occasional production from. Pop Douglas, still more of like I'll bet he would be nice kind of guy rather than actually proving anything on the field. So when you look at this offense, it's really Drake Maye and almost completely nothing. Again, Hunter Henry be a nice piece on a good team. Antonio Gibson's had a nice couple of weeks here. But other than that, like how many of these guys could you put on a division-leading team and say that they're going to be a part of the offense, that they're going to get meaningful snaps, meaningful targets, make plays? I don't think there's any, to be totally honest with you. Henry might be nice. Antonio Gibson might be nice. Ramondre Stevenson, what are you going to get from him week in, week out? Part of that's the offensive line's terrible. Yeah, sure. He also has a fumbling problem. And he lost one 2 weeks ago. He fumbled one that they did not lose. But Pop Douglas, like, yeah, he's shifty and quick. They just can't get him the ball. Well, that excuse is done. He's had a real quarterback for 8 or 10 weeks now. The guy doesn't get open. Kendrick Bourne, best days are behind him. Kayshon Boutte, Probably not an NFL wide receiver. In fact, a great microcosm of this argument that we're having, that I'm having against no one here, is in the third quarter, Drake Maye totally misses Kayshon Boutte. It probably would have been a first down, would have been a big play, and he missed him. Wide open, just threw it too high. And I hear the announcers say, this was the knock on him coming out of college. Sometimes his arm's too big. He misses open guys. You just don't know where those throws are going to go. So that's not false. That was the knock on him coming out of college. But that's the first guy he's missed like that in 3 weeks, like 3 games anyway, coming off a bye week. Like he hasn't done that. And it's another super efficient performance of 19 for 23 for 202 yards, a touchdown and a pick, because that leads me to the next play where he hits Kayshon Boutte in the hands, and Boutte knocks it up twice and just hands it to a defensive back. Like that is awful that pick goes against Drake Maye. He misses one guy, first time in a month, and the next play, it's not the best pass he had all day, but he hits a guy in the hands and it turns into a pick. Like, it's just, you can't, this is what I mean. You cannot look at the numbers with Drake Maye and just say, well, yeah, but Jaden Daniels' numbers are better. Like, you can't. I think he's been consistently the most impressive of these rookie quarterbacks, and yet Jaden Daniels' team's still in the playoff hunt. Bo Nix's team looks like it actually is going to make the playoffs. And so that's what people will see. Because that's what they saw with Mac Jones in 2021. I haven't heard some of the people the last couple of weeks who were saying, well, Mac Jones had a better QB rating and he made the playoffs and he made the Pro Bowl in year 1. Haven't heard a lot of those people the last couple of weeks. There weren't that many to begin with, because I think everyone could realize how vastly different that 21 Patriots team is with this god-awful 24 Patriots team. But those people have been awfully quiet the last couple of weeks, trying to insinuate that Mac Jones had a better rookie year and had more upside than Drake Maye, and that we fell into the Mac Jones kind of trap in his first year with the Patriots. We can't do the same thing with Drake Maye. That's all bull. That's all bull. And I've been saying it on this postcast week after week after week. You have 2 real good NFL players, like 2 Pro Bowl caliber guys on your entire roster. Drake Maye and Christian Gonzalez. Guys who you actually can build around in the future, will be future Pro Bowl, All-Pro consideration, if not All-Pro and Pro Bowl selections. Those are the 2 guys. Those 2 guys kept them from losing by 4 or 5 touchdowns today. I sincerely believe that. Again, Drake Maye for all the things we just outlined there, and getting 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and Christian Gonzalez, the only one making plays defensively. They kept you in the game. And that little shuffle flip pass from Drake Maye, if Patrick Mahomes did that, he'd get a Pulitzer. Instead, he gets Super Bowls. But Drake Maye, that's all the crap that we were so into with Mahomes when he first got into the league. And it obviously is translated from being just, hey, great for social media to great for the NFL and the franchise and the city. Drake Maye has that kind of ability. Will they put a team around him that can succeed the way Mahomes has had? And that's, again, not taking anything away from Mahomes, but will they have anything close to that? That remains to be the question. So I guess your takeaway here is Drake Maye's the next Patrick Mahomes. But, do they have anything that can build around this quarterback? It's fascinating to me, because obviously they don't right now, but can they with all this cap space and this draft position and where it's going to be? That's coming up later in the show. We will also take a look at the coach. He's apparently comfortable. Should he be comfortable? That's coming up next on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast. the college football playoff. It is back, folks. Us as Patriots fans, yearning for good football. Here's where it's going to be. All right. Especially with this newly expanded 12-team format. It's a whole new game. It's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins Friday, December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show. That's Saturday, December 21st, presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup, SMU and Penn State at noon. Then Clemson looks to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. So the defense was once again not all that impressive today. Once again, and it's both sides of the ball in terms of short yardage, because the offense obviously doesn't get it done on that 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 in the third quarter that would have gotten them back in this game. Defense makes one impact play that gets neglected by probably the worst roughing the passer call I've seen this year on Anthony Jennings. That was terrible. That was just to make sure that Kyler got bailed out there for an awful decision when Jonathan Jones made the pick. But I see this Cardinals team and they're battling for a playoff spot. You guys watched them today. That doesn't look like a playoff team. Like, that looks like one where you're like, don't make the playoffs. Then you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. I don't think Kyler was all that special today. James Conner is what James Conner is, 16 for 110, almost 7 yards a carry and a couple touchdowns. He's one of the most underrated backs in the league still. Even when he was with Pittsburgh, he was underrated, which shouldn't ever be a thing because that's such a big-time fan base. But Kyler, 23 to 30 for 224, 7.5 yards of completion. No touchdowns, no picks officially. Should have obviously had a pick. Christian Gonzalez made some big time plays. Took a touchdown away from Marvin Harrison Jr. Made a big play in the second half as well. Forced a punt. That kid's a stud. That kid's an absolute stud. And it was great to I don't take much out of what the announcers say in these Patriots games because they're like the C&D crew. But it was great to hear finally someone saying, like, this kid's a star, like a star. We see it on Twitter after the games and those advanced numbers and what he's holding these great receivers to. And we hear it locally, but you're going to start hearing it nationally. This kid's a stud, man. He's a Pro Bowler right now and is going to make a push for All Pro this year in basically his rookie campaign. Just an absolute star. Like, that is a guy you build around. Now, imagine having him on one side, Travis Hunter, the newly minted Heisman Trophy winner, on the other. I mean, at this point, I'm okay with the Patriots just taking the best guy in the draft at their position, who is like at their draft position, that is not the quarterback. Obviously, you're not doing that. So we need as many teams that are looking for quarterbacks ahead of the Patriots as possible. Right now, it's 2, right? It's Vegas, the Raiders, and the Giants are going to be ahead of them. And that's what made this Jets game so big today. The Jets and the Jags looked like it was going to go into overtime late on in that thing. The Jets mind-numbingly go for the touchdown with a minute left when Jacksonville had, I think, only one timeout left. They could have ran the clock down and just kicked a field goal at the end of the game, made sure they had no time, gave Mac the ball back, and of course he threw a pick that the defensive back could have just fair caught if he wanted to, Sauce Gardner, and that game is over. Wanted the Jags to win because the Jags are not picking quarterbacks, so you want them picking behind you, but as it stands right now, Patriots in the number 3 spot. And honestly, if they want to hold on to that, they're going to have to lose the rest of their games, which 2 against Buffalo in the final 3 might not be that difficult to do. But that's what you're going to need to do in order to make sure that you're in a position to draft someone like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, the pass rusher from Penn State, or, as I'm sure they will, which is not the worst thing in the world, but they stay conservative as they've done all season long, and they'll probably pick a tackle. Again, I'm not going to, after seeing this offensive line all year, I can't complain about picking a tackle. But that said, it's not a great offensive line draft, which means you could get one later in the first round if you swing a trade, or early in the second round. You could get a one of the best tackles in the draft for whatever that's worth. And there are some offensive linemen that are free agents this year. Like it doesn't happen often. Garrett Bowles from Denver is going to be a free agent. Ronnie Stanley's going to be a free agent. You look at there's a guard there as well. Who's the guard? The kid from Kansas City, Trey Smith, also is coming up as well. So there's options more so than there is other years to go out and get one. So it kind of just opens it up. If the Patriots are picking at third or fourth, just pick who the best player is. You need help at every position, especially, including and especially head coach. There were some rumors this week that Drake Maye would be on the hot seat and that this would be an audition the last few games. And then we get a report from The Athletic that Robert Kraft silently or privately assured Drake Maye that his job was safe. Should it be safe? I get, a workplace, you want your employees to be confident in everything, and they want to feel, self-assured and all that. But this is the ultimate results-driven business. And when you're 3-11, should the coach feel good about his job, feel comfortable about his job security? What is this organization, man? Like, that used to be a failure if you didn't win the division. And now we're saying, and for a team that's probably going to go 3-14, you're going to say, well, let's give it some time here. Like, I'm not saying you should just up and fire a guy year after year when it's this bad, but should he be comfortable in his position at 3-11 right now after that performance coming off a bye week? Like, really? Because again, I say this all the time. It's the same crap week after week. Like they don't win in the trenches ever, partially because they have the worst offensive line in the history of football. But their defensive line isn't much better. They still don't do well stopping the run at all. And they commit the same boneheaded penalties week after week after week. You heard the broadcasters in this game. They're like, they got to help Vidarian Lowe. Like they were doing all these quick screens early in the game because Vidarian Lowe can't hold a block for a second. And he's the best option you have at the second most important position on the field at left tackle. And again, when you're making the same boneheaded decisions week after week, that is coaching. That is coaching. And don't take my word for it. Take their bosses. You saw them on the broadcast. Jonathan Kraft's just sitting there, and he's like, looks like all of us. He's shaking his head. He's throwing his hands up, and it's you could see reading his lips. It's the play calling. Play calling's terrible. Yeah, no shit. It's terrible. It's been terrible all season long. And again, I mean, you got to give some credit to Van Pelt for getting the quarterback up to speed, for being the most raw of the top three. Looks like the best of the top three right now. But the play calling has not gotten better at all. At all. And they know they have the worst offensive line in football and a supremely talented quarterback. And they still can't draw up plays for them to get anybody open and to score, because when the game is in doubt, they can't score. They can't score. When it's time for Drake Maye to improvise in garbage time, when there isn't as much of a pass rush, he can make plays happen. It takes a long time for these guys to get open, but he makes plays happen. When they do bring a pass rush, there's nothing the guy can do. There's nothing the guy can do. 3rd and 8, early second quarter, 3rd and 8. It's actually the first play of the second quarter because the Patriots tried to draw him off sides at the end of the first. Gets to 3rd and 8, and the center, Ben Brown, snaps the ball off his own taint, and it rolls to the quarterback. What is he supposed to do? What is the quarterback supposed to do? There are a handful of teams every year in the NFL that have problems getting the ball to their best playmaker, to the best player on their team. The Patriots have a problem getting the ball to their best playmaker, and he's the friggin' quarterback. They can't get the ball in his hands. They can't give him any chance to do anything. Like, at what point do we also look at the coaches and say, maybe this guy shouldn't be all that comfortable at 3-11 that he is going to be the head coach next year? But it would mean, if they fired him, that the Kraft family would admit they made a mistake. And they can't do that. They are far too worried about the optics of this team rather than the optics of being 3-14, which is where they're headed to, and losing 13 plus games 2 years in a row. Maybe they should be a little bit more worried about that, huh? That would be nice if they're worried about W's and L's rather than, we just hired this guy this year and we want to keep it in the family. Gerard's like one of my sons. If I have to hear that line of crap again, then we're going to be in for decades worth of a rebuild. Because again, if it was up to Kraft, if he was a nosy owner that stepped in like some owners around this NFL, Jerry Jones, Drew Bledsoe would have been the quarterback midway through 2001 when he was ready to play again. And you would have missed out on the greatest dynasty in the history of sports. Difference is, it's not the quarterback, it's the coach, which he does control that position. Good luck. Good luck. Do I think Drake Maye is a total bust? Probably too early to say. But would anybody lose sleep if he got fired after a 3-14 season? Some franchises have pride, and that's what they do. It doesn't look like the Patriots have that just yet. And it's going to take a lot to earn that back with the way this organization has gone the last few years. Let's talk about draft position, because that's what we're looking at the end of every week. That's coming up next on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast. This postcast is brought to you by FanDuel, proud partner of the NFL and official sponsor of the Locked On Podcast Network. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you're going to be able to check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Reminder, guys, if you want the full breakdown and a look ahead to next week's game against Buffalo, tune in to Locked On Patriots. Every weekday, it's your team every day. Mike Debate is going to have a great breakdown of this game, a little bit more measured than me. And he's going to be looking at that, draft position, draft tracker throughout the week, obviously, and get you caught up with the Bills, who are about to score a big-time victory over Detroit and end that 11-game win streak. It's really, say what you want about Baltimore, but it's Buffalo and Kansas City and everyone else in the AFC. All the other kind of fringe teams, get-back teams in the AFC this year have fallen flat on their face. Miami, the Jets, the Bengals, none of them are in this thing. Maybe you thought year one Chargers magic. Nope. None of them. Houston, disappointment. Nowhere near Buffalo or Kansas City. Anyway, we got to look at the draft. Patriots right now slotted at the number 3 spot. And again, they still have the toughest schedule to end out the year. Jacksonville has a horrible schedule to end out the year. That is going to be big because that becomes a tiebreaker, the strength of schedule, against the easier strength of schedule with the same record is going to win that tiebreaker over the tougher strength of schedule with that record. And that's one the Patriots are going to be on the wrong end of. So need Jacksonville to win another game. Come on, Jags. Come on, Mac. You could finally do us a solid here, Mac, and actually get us a better draft pick because the Jets are playing themselves out of it. I had a full intention going into this game that Chad Ryland was going to kick another game-winning field goal for the Cardinals, and would give the Patriots even better draft position, just like he did when he missed that kick against the Giants last year, which is hopefully going to go down as one of the great plays in Patriots history because it netted them Drake Maye. If the Giants had that pick, they would have been taking Drake Maye. Make no mistake about it. So Patriots right now still slotted at 3, but it's uphill in terms of that particular tiebreaker. Like I said in the last segment, I would love it if they pick Travis Hunter because I think he will be able to play some NFL or some. There we go. He'll definitely play some NFL. I think he'll be able to play some wide receiver in the NFL. Obviously, he's not going to play both ways full time the way he was doing it in college, but in a regime that is going back to Marcus Jones on offense and, a regime that had him going on offense before, that Gerard Mayo was a part of, like they are willing to use what works in terms of their athletes out there. And they should be, man. I mean, with what we were talking about this whole postcast of them having no talent, like it's worth a shot getting Travis Hunter and at least getting 1.5 positions out of him versus, drafting Tet McMillan, a position that you can't draft, and getting no value out of him if he plays like Jalen Polk does. So at this point, you're at least getting a shutdown corner who can play a little bit of offense as well. And who knows, maybe even special teams. We'll see. So I am definitely about picking whomever is the best at that position or that position in the draft. If it's Banks, from UT, then so be it. But I think you're not in a position to just say, we really need this kind of position over this. You need every position. So anyway, let me know who you guys think you would want to take at this point. Will you allow the Patriots to win one more game and pick 4th or 5th? I think that's a bit of a gamble right now. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Is it really Drake Maye by himself? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. A lot of you watching are not subscribed to the channel. We have got you covered across the board for Boston. I'm talking Patriots, of course, BC football. We're talking the Celtics as they continue to be on a heater, doing damage in Washington today, and the Red Sox when that thing comes around, because the Red Sox are getting better too. All across this channel, Locked On Sports Boston postcast. Plus, be sure to follow along with Locked On Patriots with Mike Debate as he keeps you up to date on everything the Patriots are doing 365. It's your team today and every day. We appreciate you making this your first destination for Patriots postgame, and we will see you next week on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast.